Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. I hope you're all well. So, I've just watched a new biker TV series, and I thought it was all right. It was good. This is on Prime, Amazon Prime, and it's called Suga, S-U-G-A, Ride or Die. I'm just looking at it now, Ride or Die, but it's Suga, I think, but the way they pronounce it is Sugar or Sugar. It's from Holland, the Netherlands. It's a Dutch program, and it's about a motorcycle club, right? The Devil's Drifters, I think they're called, something like that. And they're a motorcycle club in Holland, and it's all about motorcycle world and betrayal and all that sort of stuff, and drugs and guns and all this sort of stuff. Right. So pulling back from it. From this program, it's a good yarn, right? It's a good yarn. It's 5 episodes, just released 2025, so this year. And what is great about it, right at the very end, it opens itself up to another series. So if you liked it, there's a good chance they'll be making a series 2. Because, you'll see, you think, oh, okay, it's definitely open for another series, right? Not giving anything away. So what do I really think of it? Well, I suppose I'm looking at this from purely somebody who would just sit down, watch something on my laptop or on the TV. I think, is it enjoyable TV? Just like when Sons of Anarchy came out all those years ago, in terms of the TV programs, that TV series that were depicting motorcycle club life, right? You've got to take it with a pinch of salt. Because there are it's so much sensational stuff about it. There's so much inaccuracies about it. There's so much that you think that just doesn't happen. However, there's so much about it that is bang on. And what I'll say about this is, if you take the likes of the American movies from the past and the Sons of Anarchy type things, and then spin-off, what was it, Mayans and everything. Well, obviously that depicts, or that is kind of representative, that's a homage, as they like to say in the art world, to motorcycle club life in the United States. However, I'm talking, my knowledge, as it were, limited knowledge from many years of riding and seeing how these things occur. That isn't what happens over here. And that hasn't happened what happened over here, and certainly around Europe. One, because Harley Davidsons weren't always a thing. They're too expensive. Now, I'm not saying Harley Davidsons don't exist over here. Of course they do. And people in motorcycle clubs don't have Harley Davidsons. Of course they do. But years ago, it wasn't a thing. There was lots of different bikes. So from that point of view, this Suga program is fantastic, because they're not all riding Harley Davidsons. In fact, they're riding a lot of old clapped out bikes, dirt bikes, and some few Harley Davidsons there, but they're old and everything. It's not glamorized in any ways. It's just it's raw, it's rough, and actually it was actually really good, because I thought, actually, no, that's probably more realistic from that point of view, from a motorcycle riding point of view, than anything you would get from an American TV program. But the same issues apply in terms of, well, how do these motorcycle clubs actually, how do they interact with each other? What the rules and protocols and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure if you're in a motorcycle club, you look at it and you go, come on, that's a load of old crap. That wouldn't happen. If that happened, no, somebody's going to get their ass kicked. All that kind of stuff. So that kind of stuff happens. The other thing is, about how clubs are formed and everything. You could pick the bones out of all this sort of stuff. How does one president become a president? And then it just goes on and on and on, right? But I'll tell you what it did remind me of. It reminded me of a few other motorcycle programs or TV programs and films for the recent years. It reminded me of the Australian one that came out. What was a biopic, really, I suppose. It was Brothers in Arms. It had that kind of feel to it. In other words, it wasn't as clean and as well-rounded as, let's say, a Sons of Anarchy or Mayans. There's a little bit of a rawness to it. Australia have actually produced quite a few films and series over the last few years, motorcycle club-related stuff. It's actually pretty good, right? One thing I would say about the Suga, obviously, it depends if you don't mind subtitles, because it's all in Dutch, right? So you got to take it from that. I don't mind. I don't mind watching foreign films or foreign TV programs. Obviously, if you've got subtitles, if it's dubbed over, it's probably even better. But actually, subtitles for me works just as well. So that didn't detract from it at all. I just got on with the story, and it worked really well. I really liked it. I thought it was actually really good. And would I watch another series of it? Yeah, I would say, yeah, I would. I would watch another series of it. Because there was a rawness to it as well. And as I say, it wasn't so glamorized, but it did kind of depict a certain thing from motorcycle club life, or that kind of rawness of, some club that is, on that edge a little bit. However, just keep this in mind, that it is there's a load of nonsense about it as well, right? Let's just say, this is the same thing about Sons of Anarchy. When you're running around and shooting things up, and you're having, street wars and everything like that. What you're saying, that your club isn't not going to get raided by the ATF or the police or the feds, the slightest little thing? No, it'd be exactly the same here. They're allowed to get away with a lot more stuff. Saying, well, hold on, why haven't you been raided yet? Why haven't you all been arrested yet? You just got away with this. You just seemingly walked. And then it's a kind of, well, they have to make sure that there's some kind of other shenanigans going on in the police and the law courts and everything. And you kind of think, okay, you're stretching it a little bit. But if you ignore the legitimacy of all that, it's a good yarn. It's a good story. So listen, I'll let you make up your own mind. But what I would say is that it's a good program. There's another good program if you want to watch from Netflix. It's called Warriors. And this is a Danish program. It's about motorcycle club life as well. Similar kind of thing. Different story entirely, but a similar kind of thing. That's worth a watch as well. I really liked that when I saw it. A few years ago now, a couple of years ago now. But this Suga, yeah, good. Definitely a second season, I would say, is potentially in the offing. No doubt. It's kind of raw. It's not over Hollywoodified, if that's a word. I think it's more representative of European motorcycle club life from years ago. I'm not saying now, years ago, but also Holland and Belgium. They've had big confrontations in motorcycle clubs, inter-motorcycle club issues, and also with law enforcement in the last few years as well. So there is a rise of this kind of interest in motorcycle club life from within Europe as well. And, it's kind of representative of that, but it's also representative of possibly a time, a few years ago, although it's set in modern times. But it does not glamorize being in a motorcycle club in terms of what they're wearing or what they're riding or where they're living or all that kind of stuff. It kind of depicts a kind of raw, struggling kind of lifestyle, as it were. I would say give it a go. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below if you've seen it. What do you think of it in terms of authenticity? I could already give you the answer to that. It's not authentic. It's not. Even though I'm not in a position to say whether it's authentic or not. Just from an outside casual observer looking in, it's not that authentic in terms of storyline and all that sort of stuff. But there are always elements of truth in anything, right? In any great lie, there's always elements of truth. And that's what makes a good story, right? That's what makes a good TV program to watch. You watch it and you go, yeah, it's a bit, yeah. But you don't have to always dissect everything and say, oh, yeah, this is great, this is bad, Look at this and think, yeah, Suga, Ride or Die. I think it's called Ride or Die. Yeah, go watch it. It's on Amazon Prime. It might be on something else. I don't know. You'll have to search for it. Amazon Prime, 5 episodes, 2025, just been released or recently released. I would say, yeah, Go. It might have come out earlier in the year. I just haven't watched it. I've just come across it now. So anyway, there we go. So well worth a watch. Suga or Suga, motorcycle club TV show that's just come out. A couple of others that are there to mention as well. I won't go into them right now, but there's quite a few of them, especially. There's some good foreign language ones. That's all I'd say. Good foreign language ones. If you want to watch those, well, watch those. They're really good, and they're less glamorous, I would say, than what you get from the United States. They're more kind of raw. If you like what I do here, keep on watching, and I'll catch you again. Bye now.